thanks everybody for being here.
You're
Praise the
welcome.
Lord.
So this is actually the third day of Hanukkah. So today we're going to talk about Hanukkah, and you might think, why do we as Christians care about Hanukkah? Well, number one, it's a Jewish holiday, and Jesus is Jewish. And although Hanukkah itself isn't a described festival in the Bible, like God gave specific instructions on how Passover is to be observed and the Feast of Tabernacles and all of that, Jesus actually participated in Hanukkah celebration, although in the Bible it's John chapter 10, it says that he went up to the Feast of Dedication, which is the same as the Festival of Lights, which is Hanukkah. So Jesus was in Jerusalem during a Hanukkah time. And so Jesus participated in Hanukkah, observed Hanukkah. And historically, the historic events that led up to, that culminated in this celebration being created, it's actually recorded in two books that were written that became part of what's known as the Apocrypha. And some Bibles have them, some Bibles don't. But it's a section of historical books in between the Old Testament and the New Testament. And in that period of time, there's actually 400 years. So there's a lot of history that took place in that 400 years. And part of that history is the struggle of the ancient Jews to restore the Temple of Jerusalem, that it had been taken over. The temple had been desecrated by Syrians, and the Syrian king Antiochus said, he dictated that Jews should give up worshiping God. Like right now, sometimes we feel like we're being dictated to, because it's like you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't go here, you can't. And we might, it might feel like we're in a little bit of the same times, but back then, the Syrian king said that Jews should give up worshiping God and worship only the Greek gods, which there were a bazillion of them, but that's what they wanted the Jews to worship. Of course, the Jews didn't like that, which is good. I mean, and if someone came in here and said you can't worship God, we wouldn't like that either, right? But they refused, and they decided to do something about it. So this guy named Judah Maccabee, he got a group of people together, and those people got more people, and eventually they had an army, and they fought back, and it took them 3 years, but this Jewish army battled the Syrians for control of Jerusalem. They finally got control of Jerusalem and the temple, and they went into that temple and they cleaned it out because it had been totally desecrated by the Syrians. There were all kinds of Greek images and Greek gods and stuff like that, and so the Jews went in there to start cleaning out all this stuff and putting it back the way that God would have them have it. And there was a menorah, the eternal flame that should always be lit. And their first day in there, when they started cleaning out, they lit that flame. But there was only enough oil for one day. And so they had sent a messenger to go get more oil for this lamp, and it took them 8 days to accomplish that task. But miraculously, that lamp stayed lit on that 1 day's worth of oil for that entire 8 days. So that's why a menorah has 8 candles to celebrate, 1 candle for each day that lamp miraculously burned on that one day's worth of oil. And so the Jews had removed all the Greek symbols. They got the temple all the way back, restored it to the way it should be, and that it was completed on the 25th of Kislev, which is this month, and the temple was dedicated. So that's why it's called the Feast of Dedication. That's why it's called the Festival of Lights, because it celebrates the lamp that was burning And so this year, Hanukkah actually started at sunset on December the 10th. It runs 8 days, and it'll complete itself on sunset December the 18th. So why should we care? Why should we care about Hanukkah? First of all, and I told you, Jesus celebrated it. But it's more of a reminder to us that Jesus is the light of the world. We don't need a lamp. We don't need artificial lights. Jesus is the light of the world. And then he declared that in John chapter 8, where he actually stood up in the temple, and there's history books from that time that indicate that there were huge, huge menorahs that were on the Temple Mount. So I mean, it was like way up at the top of the city. You could see them for miles and miles around that were lit. And Jesus actually stood and declared himself, and I can imagine, I'm just imagining, this isn't in the Bible, it doesn't say that, but I can imagine that Jesus stood at the base of one of these big, huge lights, and he said, "I am the light of the world." And everyone would look at him and go, "Really?" But I mean, that's just in my imagination. But Jesus did say, "I am the light of the world." And he meant, I mean, we know now what he means by that. I can imagine that nobody, not everybody around him understood what he was saying. And then immediately after he declares himself the light of the world, what does he do? He heals a blind man and gives him his sight back so that that man can see, and he has the light that he can see for the first time.
And he made somebody walk too, didn't he?
Oh yeah, yeah, he did a lot of miracles. And then second, the oil that's in the lamp, this isn't an oil lamp, but the oil that's in the lamp represents the Holy Spirit in our lives. So let's, I was just gonna have different people read the scriptures, and if you wanna come up and light the candle, that would be fine. If you don't, that's fine too. So I know Lisa wanted to light the candle, right?
Yep.
All right, so why don't you light the first one? Let me move this out just a
Do
little
I
bit.
have to read?
Yes, you have a verse. It's on your paper. It would be the first one there, Genesis. Oops, is that paper? Genesis 1:3. You see it?
Oh, yep.
Yep.
Genesis 1:3. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Yeah, right.
That's like you gotta push that forward and then click that.
I am. Oh, you got it. Like, well, I'll get it one way. No one now. There we go.
Perfect. All right, is there anybody else that wants to read and or light a candle? Yeah?
Where are we at here?
Right here.
Isaiah 9:2.
Right here? Isaiah 9:2? Where's that at?
Right here.
Let me see later. Wait, right here?
Somewhere around here.
The people who walk and
the
stuff.
people who walk. The people who walk in darkness will see a great light. Those who live in a dark land, the light will shine on them.
All right, did you want to light a candle too?
Yes.
That's right. You gotta push that button forward.
I wouldn't use my cigarette lighter.
Yeah, very good. Actually, what you can do is, instead of messing with this, is just pick the candle up and stick it in and put it back down. Okay. Anybody else? Did you want to read Desiree? It would be Matthew 4:16.
The people who were sitting in darkness saw a great light. And to those who were sitting in the land in the shadow of death, upon them a light dawned. So how far am I supposed to read?
That was it.
Okay.
Did you wanna do?
No, I don't.
No, okay, that's fine. Do you wanna do a candle?
Okay.
Luke 2:30 through 32.
For my eyes have seen thy salvation, which thou hast prepared in the presence of all the people, a light, a revelation to the Gentiles, and the glory of thy people in Israel. Now you
All right, I will read one. John 1:4 through 5. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it. Back to you, Lisa. Did you want to read another one?
Well, wait.
Okay.
John 1:9. Oh, John 1:9.
John 1:9.
There was a true light which coming into the world enlightens every man. Okay. See if I'm not shaky, you know. Oh, I did it. I
Very
did
good.
it.
Shar, did you want to read another one?
We're good at this time.
John 8:12.
Right here.
Start again.
See what it says
Therefore,
Yes,
again?
that's it.
Okay.
Again, therefore Jesus spoke unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life.
Did you want to do another Kindle?
How do you get that?
Who's coordinated? Desiree.
I have come as a light into the world, that everyone who believes in me may not remain in darkness.
All right. And the last verse, 2 Corinthians 4:6. For God, who said, light shall shine out of the darkness, is the one who has shone in our hearts to give the light of knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Christ.
Yay.
Yay, so we've kind of done all 8 days at once. But,
There's only, well, yeah, there are 8 days.
Yeah. so a lot of us think as of darkness as the opposite, like light is the opposite of darkness, but that's really not the case, because darkness is an absence of light. When we don't have light, it's dark. But once, I mean, we could light just one candle in a dark room and it's not dark anymore, right? And so it's our job as Christians, when we accept Jesus Christ as our Savior, He comes into our life and He becomes that light in the darkness in our lives. And so it's our job to shine the light of Jesus in dark places. And there's a lot of dark places right now, aren't there?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And so it's our job to shine in those dark places as the light of Jesus. On a personal level, I mean, there's dark places of our lives that we like to keep hidden, but Jesus wants to shine in there and clean those out. And then there's dark places in our neighborhoods, in the world, and so we need to be that light of Jesus in those places. Now, I'm not a great duster. It's just a chore that I'll get around to it, and once I get started, I don't mind, but it takes a lot to get me started. And so I might have just dusted, but then we'll have a sunbeam that comes in the window,
Yeah.
And it shows everywhere that I missed, or the dust that's in the air. You've seen that before, right?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. So Jesus came into the world to expose the things that are hidden like that. Because light exposes the dangers that can be avoided, the traps that Satan sets for us and wants us to fall into. It's situations that need to be avoided. Matthew 5:15 says, "People do not light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives lights to all who are in the house." So we need to have the light of Jesus in our lives, and to let that light shine for him and others. And there's an old hymn that you can't find in too many hymn books anymore, so I had to dig out an old one. But it's "The Light of the World is Jesus." Do you know that hymn?
Are you
Desiree,
recording this?
have you
Jesus
seen
of
it?
the world.
Heard
No,
it before?
I don't know.
But I'm
I've
not going to
heard-
sing it.
I've heard songs
Are you
like that.
recording this?
Light of the world.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm
Jesus
just
is the
reading the
light,
words.
the light of the world.
The light of the world is Jesus.
I think that Jesus is the light of the world. That
No,
no.
We're talking about the verse, not the song.
well, here, I'm not going to sing it just because. But it says, "The whole world was lost in the darkness of sin. The light of the world is Jesus. Like sunshine at noonday, his glory shone in." And then it says, "Come to the light, 'tis shining for thee. Sweetly the light has dawned upon me. Once I was blind, but now I can see. The light of the world is Jesus." And then it goes on to say that no darkness have we who in Jesus abide. We walk in the light when we follow our guide. Ye dwellers in darkness with sin-blinded eyes, O wash at his bidding and the light will arise. No need of the sunlight in heaven, we're told. The Lamb is the light in the city of gold. So come to the light, 'tis shining for thee. Sweetly the light has dawned upon me. Once I was blind, but now I can see. The light of the world is Jesus. Amen.
That's a nice song.
Well, that looks very pretty too. That,